Hello, I'm Erin Beckloff, and I'm a letterpress printer. I'm an alumna and former faculty member at Miami University, where I taught communication design.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Danker. I'm an associate professor of art education at Miami University. I've been at Miami since 2014, and I love this partnership with Erin Beckloff. We're very excited to talk to you today through this program that's associated with the exhibition at the Miami University Art Museum on Faculty and Alumni Exhibition 2021. The title of our talk is Honoring Myaamia Community Through Letterpress Printing. We're going to start today with a land acknowledgement. Miami University is located within the traditional homelands of the Myaamia and Shawnee people, who, along with other indigenous groups, ceded these lands to the United States in the first Treaty of Greenville in 1795. The Miami people, whose name our university carries, were forcibly removed from these homelands in 1846. In 1972, a relationship between Miami University and the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma began and evolved into a reciprocal relationship, including the creation of the Myaamia Center at Miami University in 2001. The work of the Myaamia Center serves the Miami Tribe community and is dedicated to the revitalization of Miami language and culture and to restoring that knowledge to the Myaamia people. Miami University and the Miami Tribe are proud of this work and of the more than 140 Myaamia students who have attended Miami since 1991 through the Myaamia Heritage Award Program. Just a little bit about the Myaamia Center. It's located in the center of our campus at Miami University and serves as the research arm for the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma. You can find about all kinds of exciting information on their website here. So we'd like to direct you to look directly at their website. The Myaamia Heritage logo was created to represent the relationship between the university and the tribe. And it was co-designed by Elise Capaccio, a designer then at Miami University, and Julie Olds, who's the cultural officer for the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma in Myaamia, Oklahoma. Something that we're going to be talking about today is related to both design and education. And this is an image of some of my art education students a couple years ago teaching fourth graders locally in the Talawanda School District 2 lessons about Myaamia culture and imagery with content that has been curated and selected by Myaamia citizens. And they create these bookmarks that are an appreciation of the culture, not ribbon work, but inspired by what they take away from the lessons as a symbol to go home and talk to their families about.
Something that's very fundamental to both Stephanie and my own work and teaching is community. Community is what drives both of us as educators and as people, and helping to form those communities and creating events that allow that facilitation to happen. For me personally, characters or people are something that inspires my research into the culture of the letterpress printing community. Characters can be both type and people. Letterpress printing is a process of relief printing using a printing press. It combines manual, mechanical, and technical processes. A primary difference between letterpress and printmaking is that the primary element of the design process is type or physical characters. Letterpress printing came about in China as early as 1040 AD, when clay and wood were used to create movable characters in order to print bodies of text. In just recently, there was a discovery of some Hangul and Chinese type from the 1430s, which is the earliest discovery of type still in existence. Someone who might be more familiar to you from your earlier school days is Johannes Gutenberg, who is credited for bringing movable type to the Western civilization. So Gutenberg was in Germany. He created a hand mold so that type could be cast over and over. And this led to the dissemination of knowledge. When we had type, when we had letters, then we could print books and we could print newspapers. It's kind of difficult to imagine a time when information wasn't always at our fingertips on our devices. But for a long time, printing was what influenced social, educational, and commercial progress. While no longer the primary form of visual communication or a necessity in order to print books, letterpress has transitioned to be used as a form of art, craft, and design. You can see an example of some more contemporary letterpress posters here in Brad Vedder's work.
When I first tried letterpress, I was intrigued because it meant I got to get my hands a little dirtier, right? I wasn't sitting behind a computer anymore. Running around and tracking around and getting all the pieces together. You might be worn out by the end of it. And that was great. It was so different than sitting behind my computer, which is where I learned graphic design. When you have to change the line spacing on a piece, just the space between the lines, it's called leading. It's even called leading in these programs that these students are using. So when graphic designers are in a workshop, they need to walk across the room to get a piece of leading or to get a piece of type. And then if it's wrong, they have to go get another piece. So it's definitely a physical act. So there's this great experience of touching history. And so to get to know more about your craft is beautiful, right? You get more of that story. Once you get that kind of first taste, it's hard to let it go.
As you could see in that clip from my documentary film, Pressing On, the letterpress film,
When I first tried,
the aesthetic of letterpress has evolved, and the purpose of communication has changed through history, but the process is still very similar. We're still using those same tools and that same hands-on process. So this is a visualization I created about the letterpress community, just showing those threads of connection between all of our community members. Letterpress brings together unexpected groups of people spanning long distances and generations, as many cultural groups do. This installation, which I call Letterpress Hemisphere, was part of the previous faculty and alumni exhibition and is a physical representation of that community of letterpress printers as seen on the map previously.
All right, so Erin and I were talking about how our work intersects, things that she does in the letterpress community, things that I do with art education, and then also aspects of collaborations with the Myaamia community. So these were some things that we identified as coming together between our disciplines and cultural experiences. So on the goals of learning, we feel like we are addressing social and emotional learning through this work. Experiential, so students really get to get in and learn by doing, and then lots of aspects of multidisciplinarity. So we are embracing each other's areas of expertise and welcoming that into our learning settings.
As I mentioned, there's a lot of hands-on process to developing something that's related to letterpress printing, just as there's a lot of hands-on preparation and collaboration when you're preparing lessons to be taught as the art educators and art across the curriculum students do. With all of these processes, there's a lot of problem solving. Unexpected things can happen. And so it's important to embrace experimentation. Remaining adaptable and flexible is going to help students and us work through constraints that can happen in these types of collaborations.
And then we were trying to decide what to call this one. And we think all of these things here are both goals of our work and also outcomes of our work. So we're both working with collaboration, relationships, reciprocity, community, and multiple perspectives. And when we are collaborating with the Myaamia Center and creating work for them to honor their community, the reciprocity is really a big piece of it. We want to make sure that, that yes, this work benefits our students, but it also has a benefit to the Myaamia community.
So we're going to be sharing 3 different letterpress posters that we created together along with some other participants. And the first one was a commemorative piece for the Myaamia Culture and Imagery Seminar and Curriculum Workshop.
This workshop took place in 2018, and I got a grant from the College of Creative Arts Scholarship and Teaching to fund this. It happened in the fall, and the participants were the Art Across the Curriculum students, which is a junior level art education class. We invited some students and art education faculty from University of Illinois to come as well, mainly because University of Illinois and Myaamia are both working through former mascots, race-based mascots. I went to graduate school at University of Illinois and understand it from that perspective as well. And we wanted the students from Illinois and the faculty to really see and learn directly from Miami citizens as well, so they could kind of get a better sense of the way the relationships could be between a tribe and university. There were also a few education leadership doctoral students involved in the workshop, a science educator, museum educator from the art museum, art department chair from the art department, and Myaamia citizens. And this is taking place in the Wikiyami room in Armstrong Student Center, which is created to honor Myaamia community. And you can see the wooden inlay created by a Myaamia artist, along with exhibits of ribbon work in the space. So this is George Ironstrack, who was presenting about some historical aspects. I think this slide is actually related to Indian boarding schools. This was Karen Baldwin giving a ribbon work demonstration during the workshop. So the workshop lasted a good part of the day and involved a lot of different pieces of information. Karen Baldwin is the spouse of Daryl Baldwin, the director of the Myaamia Center, and she has been really a big piece of bringing back the ribbon work textile craft into the community. This was at the workshop. After the demonstration, she and others led students through the bookmark craft. This is what they would then be teaching to the 4th grade students as just a representation of understanding. And it's very important to clarify that this paper bookmark is a craft and not ribbon work itself. There were some local 4th grade teachers that participated in the training, which was really special. And we've had this relationship with the Talawanda 4th grade teachers since 2017, when we did our first pilot program with them. So it was significant for them to hear directly from Myaamia citizens and educators as well. This was another aspect of the workshop. Bob Wicks, the former director of the Miami University Art Museum, talking about the partnership that the Art Museum has had over time with the Miami tribe, especially related to artifacts and objects. And this was before the 2020 exhibition, which we'll talk about later. Just some of the key people at the workshop. So Kara Strauss on the left, George Ironstrack in the middle, Director of Education and Assistant Director of the Myaamia Center, Bobby Berg, and Karen Baldwin. And this was the poster.
Yeah, to commemorate this event, Stephanie and I collaborated to create this poster for all the attendees. Posters in letterpress printing historically were used to communicate about an event. They'd be hung on utility poles or on a street corner in order to advertise an event. But now this is a special piece to commemorate all the learning that happened as a part of the culture and imagery workshop. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was just so excited to finally be able to partner with Erin and to create something in letterpress. I was really looking forward to this aspect.
So another relationship, we said earlier that relationships are important to both of us, but one that is important to letterpress at Miami and me personally is that my dad, Miami industrial education graduate, makes wood type. So in his retirement, he's taken up this traditional craft of making wood type for printing. And he came into the letterpress classes that I was teaching. You can see Stephanie here learning how to cut type. She's actually cutting type she uses on one of the later posters. And it was really, my dad makes a lot of really interesting ornaments. That's something special that he makes. So I made a print, which you can see in the current faculty and alumni exhibition called Printer Candy that I created in honor of him. So you can see Dad makes these ornaments and these decorative dots and stars. And those are something that he likes to call printer candy because it's not something like you always have in your collection, but there's something really, people are very drawn to these like geometric, interesting shapes. So he was kind enough to create the Miami Heritage logo to be a part of our project. So with the permission of the Myaamia Center, he was able to take the artwork and create the wood type. And you can see that there's two pieces because when you're letterpress printing, it's one color impression at each time through the printing press. He also cut the Myaamia Heritage Turtle logo, which the design actually changed to be two colors instead of just one. And but these were at that time both symbols of the relationship that the university has with the Myaamia community. It wasn't always easy to align those two colors. So that was a moment where we had to embrace experimentation and problem solving. You can see that dot is supposed to be right in the middle of the diamond, but you had to be very careful in how you aligned each color, because if it was off the first time, then the dot was going to be off the second. So we had to accept that it wasn't perfect, but it was hand printed, and that's what was important. We were very fortunate to have Bobby come over and be part of the design process and then see the printing process for the first time. And she was kind enough to bring along at that time a pre-first year student. So Megan Sekulich is a member of the Miami tribe and a Miami University student. And Megan just jumped right in. She was better at letterpress math than either of us and just took to the process so quickly. And and Kara came along too. And it was a really awesome day right before the semester started to have them all come in and experience this new process along with us. We even got Megan on press, and so she pulled some prints.
And this was my first time ever doing printing as well.
Yeah, you could see pulling that first print is so much fun.
And in the picture on the right of me, you can see the one color, the first color that was printed there. So that's a good example of the way the symbol would come out, just one side of it first before the black was printed.
And we worked with red and black because those were the colors that were appropriate, that the Myaamia Center said would be right to work with for the project.
And you'll see that's consistent through all the posters that we've done together. I'm just going to show you a few images now of students teaching the Myaamia lessons in 4th grade, because after the workshop, so sequentially, they learned the content, and these take about a month to absorb the information, the content, before teaching it to 4th graders, just to practice, to make sure they can ask any questions to Kara, George, Bobby before they teach. So there's aspects of historical and contemporary imagery. There is the Myaamia map, the homeland map that we showed to students, so they understand how maps can be organized differently. This follows 4th grade social studies standards and art standards. Images of ribbon work and of geometric designs, so that the phone case there would not be considered ribbon work because it's not textile, it's just the geometric design. And you can see Cheyenne has on her Myaamia shirt here, so the students like to get t-shirts from the Heritage Collection in the bookstore to wear when they're teaching sometimes. Kara came to observe some of the lessons at Kramer Elementary School, which was really special for the class that she sat in on. Since we are art education, a big piece of it is preparing the materials and the packets for the bookmark craft, which takes quite a bit of time. So there's Mackenzie and Ariel and Laura. And then we have a few quotes from 2 of the 4th grade teachers. So Kate Bowers from Marshall Elementary said, she thought the Myaamia book ribbon work presentation was wonderful. It made learning about the Myaamia more meaningful for her students. This kind of activity engages our students with cultures different from their own. Lots of class pictures. And then Barb Hamilton from Kramer Elementary said, my students were awestruck hearing the Myaamia language and meeting a member of the Miami tribe. It was a powerful moment to watch them realize the Myaamia culture is not just a paragraph in their history book. The ribbonwork bookmarks are a connection to that moment that they each treasure. So this was the class that Kara got to sit in on.
So the second project that we were able to collaborate on was the 2018 Honoring Nations commemorative poster.
And we'll show you a brief video to help you understand what this was about.
So with the help of the Myaamia Center, again, Stephanie developed a digital design for this poster, and you can see that digital proof on the left, and then you can see the reflected type on the right. So when you're setting letterpress type, it's all in reverse so that it prints right reading. When you pull it through the press, you can see that we just have the one side of the Miami Heritage logo again at the top and top middle, top center. Using metal type from the collection at the university, most of which would have been cast or cut in the early 1900s and is continuing to be used to make new things and new posters. So for this project, we were able to bring in some of the students you might have seen earlier from Art Education to help create the poster. And it was a joy to have them in the studio. It was the first time that they had printed, and they got to help set the type. They got to help print each color one at a time, and they were getting ready for a big trip. So this was especially important for them.
So 4 of the students that were at the workshop in fall of 2018 were able to travel to Myaamia, Oklahoma in January of 2019 to go to the winter gathering. And here we are together. So Cheyenne Wolfenbarger, Maria de Santiago Gallen, Cheyenne Baldwin, and Mackenzie Meddy.
And the posters were given to everyone who attended the winter gathering that year. Here you can see the poster being presented to Myaamia Tribe of Oklahoma Chief Douglas G. Langford by Bobby. And so it was this artifact that became a commemoration of this significant achievement.
This was just a few other graphics from the winter gathering. Julie Olds creates lots of different types of t-shirts and other memorabilia with graphics on it for the gatherings. And the students learned how to play traditional Myaamia games. So Kara's teaching a game here on the left, and then Maria is also playing a game here on the right. So this just is echoing the experiential piece of this. So they learned directly from educators, Myaamia educators, about culture and imagery, got to teach it to 4th graders in the aspects of the culture that Myaamia people wanted others to know about and learn. And then these lucky ladies got to travel to Oklahoma to interact and experience the culture on a deeper level after creating the letterpress posters to actually gift. This was experiencing the stomp dance together, which is the highlight of the trip. And then these 4 students shared their work with other people in different outlets. So it really became research for them. This is Cheyenne and Cheyenne presenting at the Ohio Art Education Association conference in 2019. Also, Mackenzie Meddy and Maria de Santiago Gallen presented at the Undergraduate Research Forum and also presented on a national level at the NAEA conference.
Mm-hmm. If you click back one, I want to make sure you get to mention your publication that you wrote as a part of all this work.
Yeah, I sorry about that. Yes. Yes, so this has been a big piece of my scholarship as well. And this was a piece in July 2020 that came out about this work.
So the work is continuing, and students are continuing to teach these lessons, but there was also a special event at the Miami University Art Museum in 2020 that was featuring the Myaamia ribbon work. So we had the opportunity to create another poster together. So Stephanie actually decided to create this poster as a part of the letterpress class. She took the full semester letterpress class with me, so we got to work together for even longer. And we were fortunate that Megan, who is now a printmaking major, came back to assist with creating the geometric design for the poster. And so you can see she's setting the metal ornaments that are being used to create that geometric pattern. And we were able to integrate more of the historic ornaments. So these are cast metal type, originally used for printing for over almost 100 years. And these were able to be repurposed and used on the poster.
Something I wanted to mention here was that it was significant that Megan put this design together, the geometric pattern. Though this was agreed for the class I was taking with Erin to create this poster, I could not have done this. That would have been cultural appropriation. It was very important to have a Myaamia citizen, a Myaamia person create the design for this poster, and Megan has been given credit in all forms and aspects related to this poster. I also wanted to just say something about the texture in the background here. So you can see on the press is a piece of wood, and in the background, in the inset here, Erin really encourages texture and different layers in letterpress posters, which is much more interesting. And I wanted to create something that was connected in some way to Myaamia culture. And of course, the environment and ecology is always important. So this was an involved process with fire and sandblasting that was taking me out of my comfort zone and taking risks for creating different types of imagery, which I appreciated. And I think it makes the poster look more interesting.
And this poster can be seen in person at the Miami University Faculty and Alumni exhibition this year. So you can see that texture up close.
I asked George Ironstrach if there was another word that was associated with ribbon work to create some kind of complementary or supplementary poster, since I was taking the class at that time. And this was the Myaamia word that he was referencing, which doesn't fully translate to shimmer, but means kind of the same thing. When Myaamia people are wearing ribbon work and are dancing, it seems like the geometric shapes start to shimmer. So that's what it's referring to here. So I put it in the background of the poster just for a different look, to try something else different. And then made some posters without any background that were more clean looking. And of course, the aesthetic changes. People like different types of imagery. These 3 posters were hanging in Kara's office. So that was really fun to see when the Myaamia Center had an open house. It was really special to see that she had them framed in her office. And this is also Kara's office here, and just the sign that's outside the Myaamia Center on campus. This past year with COVID, we weren't going to let these lessons go. We teach them every fall. It's a huge piece of our class. I feel like it's the most important aspect of the Art Across the Curriculum class. So Karen Baldwin came in and did her demonstration on ribbon work through Zoom to the students. So she was looking at the camera, presenting to them online, but she was in the classroom. This is the time where the students really start to make the connections and understand what they're learning, because when they see her doing this process and the layering techniques and the amount of time that it takes to actually create ribbon work. But this is usually the experience that brings it all together for them. So over COVID, we had to figure out how to communicate the lessons differently, and we did them online. We created 2 video lessons for students, and we wanted to figure out ways to engage students since we couldn't really be with them. So my students came up with this reflection sheet, and they said, stop, whenever you see this stop sign, please reflect on one of these questions. So that was integrated into the lessons. These were the students putting together the packets. We had to make them for each student instead of by class, which took a lot longer to do. But the videos, there were pros for creating videos because they could be shared later. They could be shared with parents and families. They could be stopped and rewound kind of, so they could go back and listen to things closer. We did have an interaction. This was the way that we could interact. We had the 4th graders send us postcards, and they wrote to us about what they learned, what they enjoyed from the lessons. They had the opportunity to draw us pictures if they wanted to. And this was the art education students' idea. So they were able to include some of their ideas.
They thought they were good art teachers, which is very nice to hear.
They did. Yeah, these are really sweet to look at, to see what they took away. They really enjoyed the aspect of learning a few words in Myaamia language, which it's very important to say that my students played audio clips of native Myaamia speakers saying the words, and then everybody repeated them back. And yeah, the language is what students remember oftentimes from these lessons. The lessons are increasing. We are trying to teach more people around the state about this curriculum. George Ironstrack and Christina Fox have a relationship with Ohio as America curriculum. And we were able, Christina Fox from the Myaamia Center and I were able to lead a professional development webinar for Ohio teachers in July of 2020 about this work. Christina and I are collaborating. This is like action research. So we modify and change and update the curriculum every year. So there's a base of information, but we change and adapt it and add new things based on students and how the culture is changing and what the emphasis should be every year. And we want to leave you with information about the blog that the Myaamia Center updates. It is a wealth of information, and this is where you can find out about a lot of aspects of Myaamia culture and ecology, history, education. There are so many pieces here to learn about, and to learn directly from Myaamia people is what is important here. There's a huge page with resources about ribbon work and resources created about the exhibition at the Miami University Art Museum. So if you're interested in that, there's a wealth of information. The blog is created by Myaamia people for their community to represent their observations, shared past, and provide wide-ranging educational opportunities. So these are some of the folks that are contributing to the blog. And we would like to leave you with this quote. I think we both have really enjoyed this relationship, the partnership, the ability to share with other people through design work and through education. And just the partnership with the Myaamia Center is so special and unique for us. So no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. I think it's a great takeaway from this, and it's a great way to end our time together.
Thank you very much.
And we're looking forward to more opportunities to work with the Myaamia Center and to learn from them and expand our students' understandings, the community's understandings, just ways to work together. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you enjoy the exhibition at the Miami University Art Museum.